Hi everyone, this is Moonshine's Curiosity. I thought maybe I should do an update. I haven't been doing very good. So my last update I had, was 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, and I was scared I wasn't going to get my medication, but I did get my medication, so I did okay that week, that month. My doctor lowered my Abilify, because I was taking Abilify as an antipsychotic. He lowered it because I kept smacking my lips and swallowing involuntarily, which I believe I talked about in the last video. So it didn't start affecting me until about 3 weeks ago. I started having panic attacks every time I went to work, and I had to go home a few times. And I finally told my boss, I said, I am having a panic attack every time I need to go to work. So what do you want me to do? And he said, well, maybe you should take off. So I took off and I went to, I wasn't sure if I was going to get hospitalized. I kept freaking out if I left the house or anything. Started to get a little paranoid. I felt like someone was in the house when I was home alone. All this stuff, I kept hearing whispers. So I knew that the Abilify was finally out of my system because I was starting to get really scared. So what we did is I talked to my therapist and she said, well, there's a place called Bridges, and it has, it's like an urgent care for mentally ill people. She said you could do that or you could go hospitalization, but she felt hospitalization would be kind of bad for me since they take away all your electronics normally, and she knows I have a lot of support through texting and calls and the internet, and she also knows, I like the blog or vlog, whatever you want to call this, and she felt it'd be better for me not to be hospitalized and try the urgent care place. So I asked my boyfriend to come with me because I was really scared, and I went there, and this is kind of a horror story. Just heads up, if you want to skip it, go ahead. It was very traumatic for me. It went way worse than I thought it was going to be. I was scared. But this is just one location. I don't know if they're all this way. It was just the one location nearby for me. And not all hospitals are like this. I've talked to other people and they say, what? That was crazy. No one's ever treated me that way. I have a friend and he's been admitted a few times. And he's like, I have never had that happen when I've been admitted. So here's my story. And it was really scary. So I get there and the office staff's really nice. They take my ID, they get my social, they put on all the insurance information. They're really nice. So then my boyfriend and I sit down, and there's a few people in the waiting room. Some of them worse than me, some of them seem not as bad as me, but it's, what do you know? It's not like I'm sharing how I'm feeling or anyone else's except for the doctors. Hopefully that makes sense. Oh well. So anyways, they call me and I get up and my boyfriend gets up and I have a little backpack with me. I always have a little backpack. It's like a purse almost. It's really cute. It has little Star Wars emoji things on it. It's really cute. So anyways, I get up and my boyfriend gets up with me and the guy says, oh, you can't come with. And he says that to my boyfriend. And I say, well, he's my boyfriend. He can come with. And that was the big thing that I was really strong about, is I was like, the only reason I was going there is because my boyfriend was going to be with me, support me, and talk to the doctor with me. But he's like, no, no, no. And then they kind of took me inside, and I couldn't believe it. And then they took my backpack, and I was like, wait, what's going on? And they wouldn't answer, and they're like, take off your shoes. And I'm like, hold on, am I being admitted? Like, what's going on? I was told this was like an urgent care. Even the front desk said that. And they said, oh, this is just protocol. So I was like, okay. And I took my shoes off. I was very compliant. I didn't get mad at them or anything. I took off my shoes. I put on their hospital socks, and they started asking me questions, which I was expecting them to ask some bizarre questions. When's your birthday? Are you homeless? Are you a criminal? Let me tell you, they asked if I was a criminal about almost 10 times during that whole visit. They asked if I was running away from the law. They asked that a lot of times, and if I'm on drugs, which I told them, I said, the only drugs I take are the ones that are prescribed to me, and I take the exact dose I'm supposed to. So, oh my gosh. So they're asking me questions like that, and I was expecting that, but I wasn't expected to be answering the same 3 questions every few minutes there. So they're going through my stuff, and I feel so awkward about it because I didn't realize how happy my stuff makes me feel when I have it, like my cell phone, my tablet, other things, my stuffed animals. Like, I bring stuffed animals with me. I have a ball jointed doll. It's a very movable doll. It's very nice. I think mine's beautiful. I love it. And I have a friend who actually makes them by hand, makes them from clay, and then gets them shipped to another country, and they resin it, and then he sells them. So I really love it. It's my favorite doll. And anyways, sorry, I got all sidetracked. My brain's all over the place. So anyways, she's going through my bag, and I've been keeping my doll with me because I've been doing really bad. When I'm alone, I get really scared, but I have my doll, and it makes me feel better. And she pulls it out by its hair and says, "What is this?" I'm like, "That's my therapy doll. I have her with me, and she helps me through my problems." So she starts bending her in all these weird positions and starts laughing and goes, "Oh, look at this. This is awesome." And I'm just cringing there like, "Oh, that's my stuff. Leave it alone." And then she turned on, I vape, and she turned on my vape pen, and she's like, "You left this on." And I'm like, "I didn't. It was off in my backpack." And then she started clicking it a whole bunch, and I'm like, "Just click it 5 times and it turns off." And so and she wouldn't let me touch it or anything. She's like, no, I have it. And I'm like, and I'm hoping to myself, I'm like, please have it off, because if it's on, it could cause problems if it gets hit on the fire button and stays on the fire button. And people who vape know this. So, oops, sorry, my thumb is going in front of the camera. I'm doing this from my tablet, so that's why the quality is kind of crappy. And I don't see the need of getting expensive stuff. I'm not really rich, and I'm not rich. I barely make money, and I have so many bills because I really screwed up when I was younger and got a few credit cards and spent $5,000. So when I was manic in a month. So anyways, I'm sorry, I'm getting off track again. I'm always doing that lately. So I have been without meds for about a week. Well, I've been having these symptoms for about a week when I went to this hospital place. So anyways, they go through all my stuff. She quits asking questions. Well, she asked, I had my lamotrigine bottle with me, and she's like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "That's my prescription. If you read it, it says it's for me. And if you need to contact the doctor's numbers on there, he's the one who gives me the refills." "Oh, okay, we don't need that." So then she puts everything in a bag. She puts all the valuables in this security bag. Oh, and then when she saw my tablet, she said, "Well, where'd you get this from?" And I said, "Well, my dad got it for me for my birthday." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And then she didn't seem to really believe me. And then during all this, they asked for a urine test, which I understand. They want to make sure, you're not taking any drugs. And so I did the urine test. They said to put it on this windowsill. So I did. And then they were like, "Okay, here's a breathalyzer." And I'm like, "Okay." And I've never used one before in my life, so I don't know how to use it. And she puts it up and she says, "Blow." So I just blew. I didn't put my lips on it or anything. I was just blowing at it. And then she kind of gave me attitude, and she's like, "You know how to use this. What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know how to use it. You said blow." I did. And she's like, "Put your mouth on it." So I did. And of course it was a 0 reading, 0.0. I don't know why. Maybe they thought I was drunk or something. It was so weird because I've talked to other people, and they said they've never had a breathalyzer used when they were at a hospital like that, or a mental care place. And they told me that, yeah, I got a nasty cough. I'm going to see the doctor soon about that. So anyways, what was I going to say? I asked them originally at the beginning when I was calling around about them. They said that this facility was just for mentally ill. So I was happy about that. But then when they started doing the breathalyzer, they kept asking if I did drugs. I finally told them. I said, you have the urine test. Check the urine test. You'll see all I have is lamotrigine and maybe some vitamins. But I'm like, you're not going to find anything else. Go ahead and do it. And they're like, oh, no, 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 no. And I'm like, oh my God, you have the proof right there. It's on the windowsill. And so, anyways, they asked me a couple questions. They had me sign like 13 papers. And half of them they wouldn't even explain to me. So I was like, okay. They like sort of explained it. And then when I had questions, they're like, oh, well, just sign it. And I'm like, okay. And I was really scared. And I asked them, I said, well, what's the process through this whole thing? And they're like, oh, and they just ignore me. And I'm like, well, I want to know what's going to happen. Like, am I going to see a doctor, or am I going to be put in admittance? Like, you guys aren't telling me anything. And they're like, well, they just ignore me. So finally, I was in this little private waiting room, and I hunted down one of the staff members, and I said, you need to tell my boyfriend I don't have my phone on me, and he has to leave in a few hours for work. And they're like, well, is that right? And I'm like, yeah. I wasn't comfortable coming here alone. And so they went up to my boyfriend, supposedly. I asked him. He didn't tell him I didn't have my phone, but he did say that that it would take 4 to 5 hours for me to go through this. So I didn't know that. I didn't know until I talked to Sean after the whole thing. And it only took 2 hours to go through it. So, anyways, so I'm in this little private waiting room, and I start crying because I don't know what's going on. I'm scared. I want, to have something of comfort with me, be it my cell phone where I can talk to someone that supports me, or, even my doll, or one of my Toomps stuffed animals. And, because I carry random stuff like that with me. And, anyways, so I'm waiting there, and there's a girl there, and she has like a bandaged arm, so I'm wondering if she's a self-harmer, but they start talking to her in the office, and they left the door open. So I could hear what they were talking about. I could hear, she had severe depression or major depression, and, this and that and this and that. And I'm like, this is so inappropriate. They should have the door closed. This is patient confidentiality. Like, why are they doing that? That I'm not supposed to know what your ailments are. Like, ugh. So finally they're like, well, the doctor's going to see you. And I said, okay, that's cool. I was really teary-eyed, and they ignored me when I was crying. So I was like, okay, and I'm wiping away the tears, and they put me in this room, and there's no doctor. So I go to sit down, and the lady just closes the door behind me, and it's locked. So I'm like, okay, and I sit down, and there's a TV monitor, and there's a lady on there, and she's talking through Skype. So I'm like, I start talking to her, and it's really hard to hear her. First off, when I get really nervous or scared, I can't understand people. I start getting a little shaky. I get scared, and I know they're speaking English, but I just don't understand what they're saying. Except like after the whole ordeal, I'll be like, oh yeah, they asked that, but it's like I don't process it when it happens. So anyway, she's asking me all these questions. The audio keeps cutting out. My brain keeps misfiring, so I keep not understanding what she's saying. She's getting very frustrated and mad. And so finally she's like, well, how much lamotrigine are you on? And I said, well, I take 400 milligrams of it. She's like, oh, that is way too much. I don't believe you. And I'm like, well, I have the pill bottle with me. It's in my bag. So I had to knock on the door, and the assistant went out to get the bag and get the medication, and she showed the doctor on the TV screen. She's like, yeah, it's 400 milligrams. She's like, okay, well, I guess I'll prescribe that. And then I told her, I was like, well, I was on Abilify, but it's causing lip smacking and swallowing, involuntarily. And she's like, well, how much were you on of it? And I said 30 milligrams. She's like, that's way too high. I'm only comfortable with prescribing you 10 milligrams, which I don't even know if it's an antipsychotic at that point, because I know I was told by a really shitty nurse practitioner I've had in the past that Abilify is good, is a mood stabilizer at lower dosages and an antipsychotic at higher doses. doses. So anyways, she says she can't put me on 30 milligrams. And then she says she's going to put me on collagen. It's something that's used for Parkinson's, I think, and tremors. So she put me on that with 10 milligrams of Abilify. And then they finally get my stuff. And they asked me questions, which really scared me. You know, oops, sorry. I have an itch right here. They started asking me questions, and they were like, do you want to die? And I'm like, I said no. And, you know, at the time I was feeling so much distress from having lack of medication, you know, except for the Lamotrigine, that, you know, I kind of did. Like, occasionally when I have a panic attack, you know, I'd be like, oh, I don't want to live anymore. This just hurts so much. But I told them no. I went, if they're like this when I'm not admitted, how are they going to be if I am admitted? So I lied. And then they said, how do you self-harm? And within that week, I have self-harmed. It wasn't very bad, but my boyfriend did get really upset about it. But I told him no, because I really didn't want to get admitted there. If I'm going to be admitted, I'll go to another hospital. But I had also talked to my therapist about all this, and she said, if you don't have a plan, you know, just keep in touch with me. If you start planning suicide, then you need to go to the hospital. But if you're not planning it and you just kind of sometimes say, oh, I wish I wasn't alive, she's like, you just need to stay in contact with me and doctors. So, you know, I lied so I wouldn't get admitted. And I'm really glad I did, because after the whole ordeal, my boyfriend looked it up online, you know, the ratings on Google, and all the ratings were ones. It was ridiculous. And everyone said being admitted is terrible. Don't go there to get admitted. So I'm glad I lied. But ever since I've had the Abilify back in my system, I haven't had the emotional pain that I had before. I'm still getting very panicky about different things. And I still can't work because I'm so panicked. You know, I'll start crying and, you know, start hearing and seeing stuff more when I'm scared or upset. And so, anyways, they gave me back my stuff. They asked me a few of those questions. I said no. They asked if I have any future plans. I said yes, I'd like to move in with my boyfriend. I started to go on and on and on, and she's like, no, we don't need to know that. Then she asked about coping skills, and I started to explain to her coping skills that my therapist gave me, and one of them is called RAP, and it's a very good coping skill. If it's something you can look up, just look up RAP for mentally ill. I think it would show up on Google if you type that in. It's a great program. You know, it basically teaches you your limits, when you should see your doctor with your symptoms, and your therapist can go over it with it. So if you do have a therapist, ask them about the RAP program, because it's great. So I told her about that, and she's like, I don't know what that is. And so I had to explain it. And of course, I'm explaining it all weird, and she's just looking at me like I'm a freak. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. And at that point, I'm just like, oh, I want to get out of here. So they give me my stuff. I sign off that all my stuff's there, even though I didn't really look. I wanted to get out of there. I didn't really care at that point. So I finally get out. And in the waiting room, my boyfriend isn't there. Like in the open waiting room. And I'm just like, oh my God. And I feel like I'm going to cry. And they said that they were going to fax my prescription over. And sorry, I'm going off two different ways. But they said that my prescription was going to be faxed to the pharmacy. So I went, called my boyfriend. He went and picked me up. He was somewhere else. And he got me Poke Bowl, which is very delicious. If you don't know what that is, just look up POKE bowl. And it's yummy. It's like fish and rice, all this good stuff. So I got that because my boyfriend felt bad. He knew I was in a lot of stress. And then someone that we know knew I was having a hard time, and he gave Sean some money or my boyfriend some money for ice cream. So we did that too. The next few days, I go to the pharmacy and I said, okay, are the meds here? And they said, oh yeah, they're here. but the doctor didn't sign off on them. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So they told me I should call the hospital place, and I did. And they were like, well, this never happens. Are you sure? And I'm like, the pharmacy told me. Why would the pharmacy lie about that? So they said they would call me back, but they never called me back. I didn't know if it was done or not. And then Walgreens called me, the automated voice thing. And I was like, okay, and I was able to pick them up. Well, kind of. My insurance flaked out on me because I just turned 26, but I got a disability sign off so I can have an extra 5 years of insurance with my parents. So, but they keep messing up. Every month they want to cancel my insurance because I'm 26. And it's like, then they go into the records and they're like, oh, it says it's extended. And then I'm good for another month. But yeah, it was just been a hellish time for me. I've been really scared. I've been getting depressed. I didn't even want to do this video, but I feel you guys need to know what's going on with me and how it's going. And hopefully I can get better soon. I don't know if I'm going to be able to work July. So, I don't know. Currently, I'm not making any money because I can't work, so it's just been kind of scary. I don't know how I'm going to pay for things. And my boyfriend says he'll help me, so no worries there. And of course, you know, my parents will try to help me as well. I mean, I live with them, but I do have some bills. But my boyfriend says he'll help. And so it's no worries there. I am going on vacation for 2 weeks this summer, or in this July that we're in. We're in this month, July. But my boyfriend, we have annual pass tickets that we got for our anniversary last October. So we're going to Disneyland with some friends. So it's basically free except for like hotel and food, which we're bringing food. So it's basically cheap. And the hotel rooms we're sharing with Sean's friends. I don't know if I can go though, because if I keep feeling this way, how am I supposed to ride rides or go to a hotel where I'm going to have to go on an elevator ride or anything else? Like, how am I supposed to handle that? So I'm just playing it by ear. If I can't go, I can't go. But if I can, then, you know, I will. So anyways, and then after that, the next week, my dad wants to go up and go to hot springs and go camping and do a whole bunch of fun stuff. But it's all playing it by ear. I don't know if I can do that or not. And I'm just going to play it by ear. So next video, I'll probably tell you if I win or not. And hopefully things work out for the better. I'm hoping I get better and hoping, well, I see my nurse practitioner August 2nd because I got one, but I'm on a waiting list. So hopefully they put me back to the 30 milligrams of Abilify because it worked at that dosage. And the collagen or whatever, the one that stops tremors, it seems to help. I'm at 10 milligrams of the Abilify and it finally seems to help. So yeah, that's been life so far. Sorry, this is a long video. I just need to get it all out there and it was a lot of stuff. So make sure to have a great day and try to keep a smile on your face even if it's a bad day. And I'll talk to you guys soon, probably in a couple weeks, maybe sooner. I don't know. If I get better, then I'll probably be on here sooner. So have a great one. Bye.